Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of the Lone Wolf Show with that WitchCon Presenter Series right here on www.witchcrafttv.online. And I am in Minnesota in the Witchcraft TV semi-truck. And the roads are icy. But here we are, and I have a presenter backstage. Before we introduce her, and we'll let you know who it is right after this short intro. Zehara Nachash, everybody.
Hello.
2026. How are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
Oh, we're great. We're just getting ready to get off of the highway here in Minnesota and call it a night. But, the show must go on. This is such a great show. I've been able to reach out to so many great presenters from the WitchCon, I'm going to say family, because WitchCon is just like, we all rock our, our profile pics, and it's just great. The networking capabilities, and it's just so exciting to be on the largest online conglomeracy of witches in the world. How do you feel about that?
It's really exciting. This is my second year teaching at WitchCon, so I do love the fact that we're all kind of a big family with all different traditions and knowledge, and so it is kind of fun to see all the WitchCon icons around.
Well, I definitely love the networking. So you're a fourth generation Russian witch, raised in Boston. Early fascination with the occult led you to explore esoteric traditions. Were you born in America or Russia?
I was born in Boston. My grandmother taught me Russian folk magic when I was very young. So she taught me how to find out if someone's put a curse on you, how to read wax, how to read cards. My mom is a witch as well. She has prophetic dreams. So I was born here in Boston, and I was raised by my grandmother. So she taught me a lot of Russian folk magic.
Very interesting. Love Boston. From New England myself, and it's always cool to reach out to fellow New England witches. So tell me, how did you first hear about WitchCon, and how did you get involved? Is this your first year presenting?
This is my second year presenting. I actually had been following WitchCon for a while, and I heard of WitchCon through Christian Day, of course, and I was really interested in teaching because I sort of have a different, different type of knowledge from teaching, because I do focus on snake magic specifically. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting topic. So I pitched that out to Christian last year, and he liked my topic and picked it, and then invited me back this year. So I'm really excited for that.
So I know that it's not always the best thing to have labels for things, but what do you think about, are you comfortable with being a snake priestess? Is that like a thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I'm totally cool with being called a snake priestess. I worked as I was a professional belly dancer, but I was more of a professional snake charmer. I did that for many, many years. In both New England and across the United States. So snake priestess, snake charmer, I go by both. So either one is fine.
To me, it takes a certain amount of courage to have like snakes like hanging out on you and stuff. And I don't know if I could go through that. So yeah, courageous and brave, definitely. Yeah, the Snake Priestess right here on Witchcraft TV. I love it. So there's a lot of stuff that you're involved in with the community. WitchCon is one of them. What's your class this year, And what is the slant of the class this year?
So I'm teaching a class called Unveiling Serpent Deities from around the world. And I actually have a book under contract right now with Inner Traditions called Eternal Coil. And it probably will be out later, end of this year, beginning of next year. But the workshop that I'm teaching at WitchCon kind of evolves that book. And I'll be going over various snake deities from around the world and how we can harness their power and energy for transformation and empowerment. So it'll definitely be a different kind of workshop than what most people are used to taking.
That's really cool that you're a published author. A lot of the WitchCon presenters are published authors, and I keep hearing Inner Traditions as a publisher publishing a lot of witches at WitchCon, and also Warlock Press. Plug that in. Warlock Press is the press that Christian runs and everything. But they, there's only a few books that they can publish a year. How did you get involved with Inner Traditions publications? Did you shop around?
Oh my gosh! As a writer, I can tell you, I pitched my manuscript to, gosh, I don't know, as many New Age occult people I could think of, and Inner Traditions took the bite. So I went with them when they were the first people to get back to me. So they're it. They were the winners.
I mean, as far as like I don't want to say the early days, but as publications took off, I think Llewellyn Publications was kind of the first big one to try to go, and it just seems like a lot of the community these days just aren't publishing with Llewellyn anymore. They're going, and I think Inner Traditions is kind of one of those publications that's just entertaining the occult and witchcraft and magic. And hey, I like the idea of it. Go Inner Traditions, and make sure y'all check out our author right here, the Snake Priestess here. What's the best way to get your book from Inner Traditions? Amazon.
Well, it's not published yet, so it'll be out this year, at some point later this year. But either it'll be up on Amazon or at innertraditions.com when that book does come out.
So you're also published with Which Way Magazine. Tell me about Which Way Magazine. How did you bump into that particular magazine, and where can you get that magazine?
Yeah, so Which Way Magazine you can get online. You just go to whichwaymagazine.com. It's an e-zine essentially. And Tanya Brown, I sent a couple of articles to her, and this was, gosh, I want to say I've been writing with them for 6 or 7 years now, as a contributing writer. It's a great magazine. It has contributing writers from all over the world that like to write about various witchcraft topics. There's spells in there. There's tarot card spreads in there. It's a great magazine. And Tanya Brown is the editor, and she's fantastic. So it's a great magazine, and it's only $4.99 a month. So you can't go wrong with that.
So tell me a little bit about charming snakes or working with snakes. Is this like a spiritual connection? Do you consider the snake to be your familiar in your craft?
I definitely consider snakes to be my familiar, but I've been working with snakes for 20 years now. I don't really know how I got into it. I was very lucky that I grew up with parents who didn't really care about having weird animals as pets. So I actually didn't get my first snake though until I was 19. But it's a very deeply spiritual relationship that I have with them. A lot of people will say snakes aren't smart. They're just reptiles. They're dumb. Snakes are very intelligent. I can tell you that from a spiritual perspective, they are very highly intelligent, very, I can't even think of the word, very empathic. They definitely, for me, when I'm working with them, we feed off of each other's energy. So it's never a relationship about, me just being a pet owner. I never consider my snakes pets. They're my partners. You'll never, ever hear me say my pet snakes. I never say that. I'll just say my snakes. But yeah, my relationship with them has always been a spiritual thing. I've always fed off their energy. When I would perform with them, I would let them lead. I know that sounds weird, but they would be my lead partner. So they would lead, I would follow. But yeah, I have a very deep connection with my snakes.
Very cool. And like I was saying before, you got to be a special kind of, you have to me, it's to be brave. I'm just not so sure that I would be comfortable with snakes on me. But that's just me. And I applaud you for your bravery and your courageousness. And at the end of the day, they are, creatures in sparks of divinity too. So, why not? Why not? So tell me about, your spiritual, path with, voodoo, or did I say it right?
Mhm.
Now, the spelling is just different. Like, do you have the VODOU, and then the voodoo is
Mhm.
spelled differently? Is there a difference?
No, so they're interchangeable. I always like to spell it voodoo just to separate it from Haitian voodoo. I practice New Orleans voodoo, so that's
Right.
sort of a way of separating the two. So Haitian voodoo is VOODOO, New Orleans voodoo is VODOU. I practice New Orleans voodoo, but I practice something called voodoo witchcraft. Is what I call voodoo witchcraft, and it's a combination of modern day witchcraft and New Orleans voodoo sort of combined as one practice. Um, so basically, what that means is I still cast a circle. I still, call on the elements and call on the quadrants, and but I call in the Loa. I call in the spirits of voodoo rather than gods and goddesses. I work with them in conjunction with modern witchcraft. So my practice is a little bit different than just witchcraft or voodoo. It's a combination of both.
Really like the idea of that. Really like the idea of, New Orleans as, a particular spiritual tradition of the voodoo itself. Personally, I spent a lot of time in Cemetery One, right off of St. Louis Street in New Orleans, spending time with Marie Laveau there, and actually camped out at her graveyard for all summer when I was in my mid 30s, I believe. Have you ever spent time at Marie Laveau's place in New Orleans?
I have not visited her grave yet, but I've been to New Orleans a few times and I love it there. It's one of my favorite places to visit. So I love New Orleans.
Tell me about the voodoo, community in New Orleans. Is there shops that you frequent there? Is there people that you hang out
Oh,
with?
there's a lot of shops down there that I love going to. Hex obviously is one of them. Going to the Voodoo Temple, Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo, even though it's like super touristy, I love that shop. But there's so many great stores in New Orleans. I just really like authentic voodoo at its best. Sally Ann Glassman obviously is a major influence there, and I had the honor of being part of one of her voodoo ceremonies, and that was really great. And she's been a really great contact for me. My own Mambo, my voodoo high priestess, my Mambo, Samantha Corfield, her family is from New Orleans, so I actually, study under her tutelage, as well as the House of Nine Mysteries, which is her voodoo house. So I am getting direct knowledge from New Orleans voodoo. I love New Orleans. So a lot of my crew, my friends are down there. The editor of Which Way magazine is down there. So yeah, it's just a great place to go. I have gone on my own, and just gone on my own just to go for just spiritual retreats, and it's just been really amazing to just go down to New Orleans and absorb all that energy and be a part of all that energy.
Definitely a very magical city down there. Lots of roots down there. One of the most magical things I ever experienced down there was in a park. Uh, it was in a park in New Orleans where there was a voodoo. I guess I guess she was a mambo, or a priestess. She was a teacher, and they were putting all these little voodoo dolls all over trees, and things. And then at the end of her meeting, all of a sudden there was like 15 or 20 butterflies that
Wow.
that all flew around her finger as she was holding it in the air. And I never knew if, like, maybe she put some kind of ointment on herself or there was some kind of attraction. But at any endeavor, it's very, very magical. New Orleans is very, very magical. And your spirituality is very, very enchanting. And I'm just glad to hear all about that. So another thing that I wanted to talk about with you, that I've seen in your bio and in your website, and you have a fantastic website. I would encourage our viewers to check out our guest's website, and you can get over there at snakeandbone.com. I'm pretty sure there's links to all different things there. But there's one aspect of your craft, your spirituality, that I love very, very much, because it ain't no secret in the community. The lone wolf has done a little bit of time, and he's used the craft, the disciplines of the craft, specifically the charge of the goddess, to change the trajectory of my life forever, and to reach my highest ideals. But so you work with the incarcerated, and I really love that. I really adore that. That's very, very honorable. You are the founder of Pagans Behind Bars Project. And when I was incarcerated, I remember hearing about that particular thing. And you must get letters for hundreds of letters, I'm sure. And you're probably always buried and never have enough time or people to be able to, do the amount of work that needs to be done. But tell me about what inspired you to work with incarcerated pagans or witches, magic folks, etc.
Well, I decided to go back to college when I was 36. If you're an adult and want to go back to school, please go and do it. I highly encourage you to do it. But I had worked in healthcare for 18 years. I kind of got tired of it, and I decided to go back to school for criminal justice. And while I was getting my undergrad, I had watched a documentary, and to this day, I cannot remember the name of it. It was just a fleeting thing that I happened to watch. And one of the things they discussed in the documentary was prison pen pals, and how inmates who have prison pen pals have lower recidivism rates. And I thought, wow, what a simple thing to do, to write an inmate. Such a simple thing. And at that time, I had just started writing, any inmate. It wasn't, specific to religion. It was just contacting inmates. And then I just had this idea one day, like, wow, what if I reached out to a pagan inmate? So I reached out to a few pagan inmates, and the one thing I kept hearing from them was, we don't have enough, pagan information in prison, and we don't have access to groups, and we don't have access to material and books. I mean, simple things like that. And so I thought, wow, what if we were able to just have one central space where inmates can reach out that are pagan and have a sense of community where they can reach out and have access to pen pals and books and resources. And that's kind of how I came about Pagans Behind Bars.
And I'm glad that you are doing that. It means a lot. It means a lot for the incarcerated, and I know this firsthand. Finding mentors, finding organizations that send those materials, booklets, courses, is very, very important. A lot of the things that go on in prison it's not a nice place to be, and people really adhere to their spirituality when they are incarcerated. And truth be told, for those that are incarcerated that walk a pagan spirituality, whether it's Wicca, or Druid, or Magic, or whatever it may be, the disciplines within our subculture that we have, that we call kind of the craft, conquers recidivism like a battle axe. It just does. And it works. So there are a lot of different leaders in our community that work with the incarcerated. I want to pop up a couple names: Mr. Patrick McCullum, Queen Lady Passion. You had the late Paul Barrow, and you have a few other organizations as well. Have you Maka Nightshade works with the incarcerated, and she has kind of a fleet of people that work with the incarcerated. Um, do you network with other leaders in the community that work with the incarcerated?
I have on pagansbehindbarsproject.org. That's the website. I do have a list of other pagan practitioners who work with the incarcerated. So I know one of the big ones that I do work or network with is the Appalachian Pagan Ministry. And they, I believe, are based in Ohio. So I do network with them quite a bit. And I'm so grateful for them because I throw ideas off of them all the time because I'm new to this and they've been doing it for a while. So I'm able to get advice from them when I need it. But yeah, I have a list of other, magical practitioners who do work with the incarcerated.
Yeah, Appalachian, their project over there. The founder is Donna Donovan.
Yes.
And yeah, I, you know what? They do a great job. And yeah, absolutely. We actually have some commercial excerpts on Witchcraft TV that we play on our private website. That plays all the time. Yeah, definitely really nice to hear and things. And since you've been working with the incarcerated, has any of the incarcerated individuals that you've worked with gotten out and contacted you and said, hey, look, I'm doing this or doing that? And have they had a success story or anything like that?
Most of the inmates I work with are still incarcerated. I have a few that are going to be getting out next year. So one of the things I'm working with them now is preparing them for real world, getting them prepared for the reality of being out. I do have a master's now in criminal justice. I'm preparing them for what happens with reentry, which has been good because now that they have been able to kind of get a stronger spiritual background and a foothold, I believe that that's going to help them a lot more when they re-enter.
So I have another question, and it has to do with the particular charges that some of our pagan incarcerated peoples in the United States and worldwide have. Sometimes people will go to jail for malicious crimes that involve children or sexual. And one of the things that I've noticed in the generalized pagan community in the country is that if you have, those type of charges, you're kind of blacklisted from our gatherings. You're kind of blacklisted from any type of networking or community. So have you had, inmates that were pagan that had sex charges? Do you ask them what their charges are? And how do you deal with, a pagan that may write to you that has sexual charges?
It's not for me to judge. I never ask an inmate what their charges are, even if I may know. Sometimes I may know their charges before I write to them. I have been pen pals with murderers, people on death row have been in my program. It's not for me to judge. I have had inmates who have been blacklisted from covens and other pagan groups. They've told me so, and they often feel like they have been judged against, which I find ironic because our teachings are that we're not supposed to judge. We're supposed to accept everyone. So it's ironic to me that we judge people. So I do not. The Pagans Behind Bars Project, we don't care what your charges are. We're here to help you spiritually. That is our job. We're not here to judge you for whatever your crime is. That's not our place to judge. So,
I mean, that's a really good standpoint, and there could be a debate about the whole topic for a very long time. I've had ex-prisoners that had sex offenses contact me and wanted to work with Witchcraft TV, and I just couldn't do it because I was worried about the trajectory of that. And it's a very fine line. But I do believe in redemption. I believe in transmutation, transformation. and definitely reaching your highest ideals, and correcting, patterns that are baneful or wrong. And I know that, I've been through a lot of that too. And if I can do it, anybody can do it, and things. So yeah, it must be very challenging to work in that kind of field and stuff. Are you backlogged with letters and things, emails?
I'm not anymore. Thankfully, I'm not anymore. I just got a good group of volunteers that are helping me write inmates, which is great because it's very difficult for me when I was running it just by me to build those relationships, those stronger relationships with inmates that they need. So some of the inmates I'm keeping only because I've established a really strong relationship with them. And other inmates, they'll be getting letters from my volunteers.
Very, very cool. Very, very, very proud that people in our community are helping the incarcerated. Tell me, what other projects do you do? What other services do you offer to the community on your website?
Geez, I do a lot. So I'm a Reiki master, so I do teach Reiki classes. I also am a teacher at University Magickus. So I teach pretty much almost weekly. Every other week, I have a new topic to teach with them. And I'm also a spiritual coach. So if anybody needs any spiritual coaching, but other than that, I just run Pagans Behind Bars. So if anybody is interested in becoming a volunteer and writing to a pagan inmate, just check out pagansbehindbars.org. Would love to have you on.
Absolutely. And I'll talk to you after the show. Maybe I can create a commercial for that very thing for you, if it's okay. That would be
Absolutely.
really to have the outreach to make sure some of these people that are seeking a better way can find their redemption and empower the power of transmutation. Yeah, awesome. So WitchCon's coming up. You're a presenter, and you can check that out at witchcon.com. witchcon.com, and if you scroll down, you can see the presenting and the presentation. And this year, tell me more about your presentation this year with WitchCon. Tell me more about that and why people should sign up.
Yeah, so it's going to be kind of interesting and fun. You'll get to learn about different snake deities from around the world and how each of them can affect your life through transformation and empowerment. Learn about the cult of Wadjet, very important cult in ancient Egypt that most people don't know of, but protection cults. And learn about male snake deities. Most people think of female snake deities, but we'll also be talking about male deities as well.
So, real quickly, what are some of the widely more known gods and goddesses that have attributes of the snake?
So Glycon, who's a Greco-Roman snake deity, he's fairly known. Asclepius, which I think most people know as the snake that's intertwined around the caduceus of the medical symbol. He is another well-known snake deity. Hecate, ironically, is considered a snake deity. So those are a few. Obviously, we'll be talking about Medusa. Can't have a snake workshop without Medusa in there. And then we'll actually touch upon some Japanese and Native American snake deities, which a lot of people are unaware of, that there are snake deities in those cultures as well.
Awesome. Very cool presentation. Make sure y'all check it out on WitchCon. Sign up for classes today, February 20th. Things. My last question that I want to ask you is, a lot of younger people that are fascinated with witchcraft and maybe not particularly, a particular path. Maybe they like the Greek variant or the Egyptian or the Voodoo or the different themes of witchcraft and the many different variations, because we're just like a big bag of Skittles in the magic community.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to the new witch that
the new witch?
Yeah, what's your advice?
Make your own magic. Just make your own magic, make your own path. Don't feel like you have to follow the rules. I'm a rule breaker. So, find what works for you. Make your own magic.
I love that advice. Creation is definitely the best magic. Yes, every time we cast a circle, we're mimicking creation itself. With that being said, thank you so much for coming on the Lone Wolf Show with a WitchCon Presenter Series.
Thank you so much for having me.
Checking out your website more in depthly and seeing if we can't get some clips up on Witchcraft TV about working with prisoners. Because, well, that's the right thing to do. Keep it right here on www.witchcrafttv.online. Merry part for now. May we merry meet again.